made the decision that's right for them. So those of you who are still here with me today, I have to imagine that there's at least a part of you that wants to join, or at least is thinking about joining. You've looked at the information page, you've listened to everything that I said, you've listened to the challenge, you thought about it, and you're still on the fence. My job, my goal today is to get you off of the fence. And as I think about this day and what this day is all about, I always think about this scene in The Karate Kid.
And your son must talk. Walk on the road. Walk right side, safe. Walk left side, safe. Walk middle, sooner or later, get the squish, just like grape. Here, karate, same thing. Either you karate do yes, or karate do no. You karate do guess so, just like grape.
So it's just like that. It's like either you do Macros 101, yes, or either you do Macros 101, no. But when you stay in the middle, you get squished like grape. And that's what sitting on the fence is. And the last thing that I want for anybody who is listening to this is to let the doors closing make the decision for you. Because the doors are going to close tonight. And after tonight, the choice is taken away from you. Don't let the choice be taken away from you. Make the decision, either yes, I'm in, or either no, I'm not. That's a decision. But what I don't want you to do is sit in the indecision, is sit in the in-between, because that's when you get squished like a grape. And now you're letting outside forces make decisions for you. So again, my job today, my goal today is not to get you into Macros 101. That is not my job. It's not my goal. I want you to just make a decision. I want you to make a decision, and I want you to own that decision and feel really proud of whatever decision you made, whether you come into Macros 101 and you join us, or you decide that this is not right for you. That is still an empowered decision, and that's my goal. So I put up a post, both in Facebook and then on our Instagram page, and I asked this question. I said, why do you think Macros 101, why are you worried Macros 101 won't work for you? And by far, the #1 response that I got from so many people is, I can't afford it. And maybe some of you who are sitting on this call feel that very same way. So this is the first thing that we're going to talk about, the first concern, because it's the biggest concern that I see coming up, and I totally get it. Finances are very personal. Budgets are very personal. Everybody has certain circumstances in their life. And I want to make it clear, as we have this conversation around money and as we have this conversation about what you can afford, I want to make it very clear that I am not talking to the person who has $13 in their bank account and can't make rent next week. I'm not talking to you, okay? If you're deciding between joining Macros 101 and feeding your babies, girlfriend, feed your babies. So I'm not talking to the person who literally has no money to their name. I'm talking to the person who that response of I can't afford it just may be covering a deeper issue. So I know this issue because it happened to me a couple of years ago when I made the biggest decision and the biggest investment that I've ever made in something for myself. And I remember very clearly, I was on a sales call for this program that I was thinking about joining. And when the person on the sales call was talking to me, she was asking me what my concerns were, and I was like, well, like the money, I don't know that I can afford that kind of investment. And it was really interesting as I took a step back from that, because I actually didn't purchase on that sales call. I'll tell you the end of the story, but I didn't purchase on that sales call because I said I can't afford this. I don't know where I'm going to get the money, and that was my reasoning. And when I got off that sales call and I started to get really honest with myself, I realized that it was really easy for me to just say that the reason was money. It was really easy for me to just give that as a reason, because there was truth to that. It was a lot of money. It was a big investment. But when I sat with that decision and I sat with that answer and got really honest with myself, I realized that that answer was actually covering up something a little deeper. And that something a little deeper was fear. It was fear of me not doing the work. It was fear of, what if I join this and I'm not successful? It was fear of investing that money that could have been used for something else. It was fear of, doing something and not getting the results that I wanted. And instead of being honest with myself and saying, I'm just really afraid of taking this next step, I covered it with a very easy, I can't afford this. And maybe some of you are doing the same thing. And so I've talked to a lot of you guys about money over the last couple of days. It's been a constant conversation that I've been having in my DMs with a lot of people. And as I'm having this conversation, a lot of you are starting to realize that it's not really just the money. Because if you knew that this would work, you would happily pay the money. Right? If you think about your goals and what you want to accomplish, and if I was promising you this magic pill that you took it and it guaranteed everything you wanted, you would have, every single one of you would find the money to be able to do it. You'd happily pay the money if it was guaranteed to work. You feel like it might be a waste of money if it doesn't work. And it would be. If you join and it doesn't work, that would be a waste of money. And so this is the cycle that a lot of you are caught in, and you're not sure that it's going to work. You've seen the success stories. You've seen it work for other people. You've heard the testimonials. You've heard the stories of other women. You've gone through like some of the experience yourself. But the question still remains for a lot of you guys, I don't know if it's going to work for me. And so this is one of the biggest reasons that we have a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. Because you don't know if it's gonna work for you. I can say all the amazing things about the program, you can hear all the wonderful testimonials about the program, but at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know if it's gonna work for you. And that's a risk. And a lot of you are sitting in that risk and sitting in indecision because it feels too risky to take the chance. What if you get in, and what if it is just a waste of money? And I don't want that to be a risk for you. So I'm willing to take on that risk. And I'm willing to say, I get it. Come in, join us for 30 days. Go through the content, go through the coaching, ask questions, get the experience, and see if this is a right fit for you. And if it's not, I want you to ask for your money back. Because my goal is not to get you into MACROS 101. That's not my goal. My goal is to serve you and create a transformation. And so that puts the risk onto me. Honestly, that's really risky for me because it means I have to show up and I have to do my job to deliver on what I'm promising. And honestly, again, a lot of you probably don't know the ongoings of a business, but every time we do a refund, I have to pay for it. So we don't get the processing fees back. So it actually costs me money to give everybody a refund. So it is not in my best interest to get any of you into the program who are not a right fit for it because it costs me money to be able to give you a refund. But I want to make this as a no-brainer, risk-free as possible for you so that you can see what it's like on the inside. It's really hard to describe the transformation that occurs in MACROS 101. It's really hard to describe how it is different. It's really hard to describe what is waiting for you on the other side of that decision, and you can only see it when you come and join us. So anytime during that first 30 days, if you decide this is not a good fit for me, I want you to email us, ask for your money back, and we will happily give you a refund. And that's an important thing to remember because you're not sure. I know you can't be sure. Now, I don't know how you're gonna make this decision. You're gonna make this decision the way that you make it. All I can share is how I made my decision, and maybe it will be helpful for some of you. So, like I said, I got off that sales call. I did not join. I did not join that program. And I move on. I moved on with my life. A couple of months later, I was offered an opportunity to come join that program again. And when I say to you that making this decision, I was crying. It was such a hard decision for me to make. It felt like a big investment. It was very, very scary. So let me talk you through how I personally got through that fear of being willing to make that investment. And just like a little bit of the end of the story, that investment, here we are 5 years out of that investment, and I can still say that it was one of the best investments I ever made for my entire life. It completely shifted my life. It completely brought me to where I am here today, even speaking and talking to you. And I'm so happy that I made that investment, but it was scary. So here's how I made this decision. Number one, I asked myself the question, do I believe in the person who is teaching the program? And for me, it was a heck yes. And for a lot of you, this isn't hard. It isn't hard for you to believe in me. You've gone through the challenge. You've listened to the podcast. You've followed me on Instagram. You've seen how I show up and how I teach. And you either jive with that or you don't. I have to imagine those of you who are still here today jive with that, because the people who don't jive with me left a long time ago. So that was my first question. Do I believe in the person teaching the program? The second question is, do I believe the program works for other people? And again, I had seen the testimonials, I had seen the transformation that other people, and I was like, yeah, I do. I believe that this person legitimately works. It works for this program legitimately works for other people. So then I asked myself the question, do I believe the program will work for me if I work it? Like, if I follow the steps this person is giving me, do I believe that the program will work? Like, the steps work? And when I got really honest with myself, I was like, yeah, I do. I think if I do the things that I need to do, that I'm told to do, I think it will work. And then we got down to the deepest question. That was the hardest one for me to answer. And that was, do I believe that I will work the program? And that's where a lot of you are sitting. You believe in me, you believe in the program, you've seen it work for other people, and you think, yeah, if I do it, it probably will work. But I'm not sure if I will do it. I'm not sure if I will stick to it. And so that trust and that fear of, will you show up and do the things you need to do, that's what's been holding you back from getting the results. And I want you to know that when I made this decision to make this investment, my transformation started the moment I hit purchase. Because that moment that I hit purchase, I was committing to doing the work, right? Like, I was putting it on the line. I was putting down money. I was putting my feet to the flame, and I was saying, I know that this will work if I do it, and I'm investing so that I will do it, so that I will follow through on this commitment. And I was saying that I was worth the investment. That was a really important thing for me to say to myself, not just say to myself, but to prove with my actions that I was taking. And I showed up differently because of it. And this is what will happen for a lot of you, especially those of you who are going back and forth because of the investment. The investment itself will actually make you show up differently. If it was something cheap, you would kind of take it for granted. We tend to take things for granted that we don't have to invest a lot into. But for those of you who this is an investment, and this is something, it's a declaration and a commitment of how you're going to show up, the investment will make you show up differently in the program, and it will make you follow through a lot more than if you weren't invested in it at all. Yeah, Kristen said the investment confirms my commitment. That's a beautiful way to say that. So if you did the 5-day challenge with me, you saw we had this question at the very beginning that a lot of people come to me with. It's like, what do I need to do to reach my goals? And I told you that a better question to be asking is, who do I need to be to reach my goals? So we can ask ourselves, what's the type of woman who is successful? How does she act? How does she behave? What being does she bring to the goals that she has set for herself? And you can answer the question yourself, and if you want to in the chat, what do you imagine that type of woman? How does she show up? How does she respond? The woman who has the goals that she has worked for and achieved the goals that she wants to achieve, what does she do? I imagine that she's somebody who finds a way. She's a woman that when met with a roadblock, she figures out a way around that roadblock. She's the type of woman who invests to get help. She doesn't feel like she has to do it on her own. In fact, she'd rather invest in somebody to help her get there a little faster and with a little less frustration. She knows that's going to be beneficial for her reaching her goal. The woman who is willing to do something different, who realizes the results she's gotten to this point in her life have been the direct result of the action she's taken. She's willing to do something different to get a different result. Yeah, Joanna said she's confident, right? And not only confident in what she's joining, but she's confident in her ability to show up in that interaction. So I think it's really important to understand, because we talk about this, who do I need to be to get the results? But action and being go back and forth. And if you want to be a new type of person, if you want to be the type of woman who hits your goals, you have to act your way into that being. You have to act your way into a new way of being. And so some of you have had the realization that you have some issues around worthiness or self-esteem. And so it would make sense that the action of investing in yourself, literally saying, I am worth it, would be very uncomfortable for you. But who do you need to be? How do you need to step into that place of being to be able to get the results that you want? Brittany said, I've committed to my family. It's time to commit to myself. Being a busy mom of 4, I've been listening in my car. I'm determined to be dedicated. I can't wait till tomorrow's call. It's so good. And Brittany, you bring up such an important point. As I've been talking to women about money, the same concept has come up a couple of times where women have told me, I can't afford it. If it was for my children's sports, I'd figure out a way to make it work. And it's so telling to me that we're willing to figure out a way to make it work for our spouse, for our kids, for, a vacation, and yet we're not willing to figure out a way to make it work for ourselves. And how often are we willing to put everybody else first in our lives and we end up last? And then we wonder why we're not able to change and why we're not able to get the results that we want. This is about stepping into that place of I'm important. This is not a cost, it's an investment, right? When we talk about the difference, what's the difference between something that's a cost? A cost is just money out the door, right? And we can talk about value in addition, because we can ask the question, hey, is $500 a lot of money? Well, it's not a lot or a little, it's just $500. If I said, hey, I'm selling this candy bar for $500. You'd be like, whoa, that's an expensive candy bar. But if I said, hey, I have this house, it's brand new for $500, you'd be like, that's a steal, right? So $500 isn't a lot or a little, it's just a number. And what really matters is the value that you're getting out of it. So if you're really smart and asking yourself about this investment, you would be asking yourself, what's the value that I'm getting out of this program? Right? That's the difference between when we look at cost and we look at value. So the value of Macros 101 depends on the results you're seeking. What do you want? What is the outcome that you're looking for? What's the desired outcome? If the outcome is confidence, is that worth $500? If the outcome is feeling good in your clothes, is that worth $500? If the outcome is being able to do this on your own and feed yourself be able to pass on that relationship with food to your kids, is that worth $500? So it all depends on, the value depends on the transformation that you're looking for and what's possible because of that transformation. And again, you don't know what you don't know. And that's why we have the money back guarantee, to be able to invite you in and say, hey, let's see if we can create that transformation together. Because I'm very confident I can help you create that transformation. And so I want to take the risk on for you. We have lots of people who, again, have said that Macros 101 works. And a lot of them have said things like, I'm being prompted to say it's hands down the best money I've ever spent. It was an investment in myself and replays over and over again. Macros 101 changed me mentally and I'm forever grateful. Another person said, as an M101 alumna, I can say the value of this program far exceeds the cost, and everyone needs to know that. It's worth every penny. Macros 101 is the best thing I've ever done for myself, and it works. I love the person I'm becoming. It has reached beyond food and affected my whole outlook on life. Thank you, Amber. It definitely works. The only thing I found for a 58-year-old menopausal woman that worked. I joined April and I'm down 25 pounds, keeping it off even over the holidays with hardly any restrictions. If you're on the fence, just do it. I promise it works. Currently in Macros 101, in every podcast, module, coaching session is a new reason why it was worth it. I was mentally cracked open in a one-on-one coaching session, and approximately 20 years of food and diet baggage was lifted from my shoulders. So if you're open to some coaching, reframing the question or reframing the statement may be really helpful. And if some of you are stuck in the cycle of fear and I can't afford it, what would happen if you change that to how could I afford it? And notice how even just that slight word change opens your minds up to possibilities. And maybe there's not an answer. I don't know. This is where you get to explore. But asking yourself a better question is going to get you a better answer. And I can't afford it isn't a very good question. In fact, it's not a question at all. But how could I afford it gets your brain going, gets your brain into possibility, gets your brain into figuring it out and seeing what you can come up with. It gets your brain into creativity. And that's the space where you're going to be able to make that respond and make that answer. Okay, so the second thing that I've heard from a lot of people, and this kind of plays into the first one, but it's a little bit different as well, is I've failed in the past, Amber. I've done this before, and I failed. And I'm afraid. I'm afraid of failing again. I'm afraid of what that will mean about me. I'm afraid of getting excited about something and then getting disappointed again. And so then we just don't do it. I was asking one of the women who joined why she decided to join. She said, I argued with myself for 3 days, but I'm in. I said, that's great. It's really more common than you think. What tipped the scales for you? And her response stopped me dead in my tracks. She said, I stopped worrying about all the reasons I could fail, and I focused on how I can succeed. And can you imagine how that shift from what if I fail to what if I succeed is such a powerful shift. I know it can be hard to believe in yourself. Many of you have lots of evidence in the past, lots and lots of times of starting, motivation, excitement, possibility, and then failure. And then you pick yourself up and you do it again, and you get excited and motivated, possibility, and you fail again. You've gone through this cycle so many times, and it's beating you down a little bit more every time, because then those thoughts start to creep in your head. Maybe I can't do it. Maybe it's not possible for me. Maybe I'm not strong enough, smart enough, brave enough, whatever enough to be able to make this happen. And then the last thing we want to do is try again, because now we're just going to have more evidence to support we're not good enough, smart enough, brave enough, fast enough, good enough, right? And so it makes sense why a lot of you are hedging, why a lot of you are holding back. And if you've gone through any of my content, you've done Macros 101, you know that I don't believe in failure. I don't. I believe that life gives you lessons, and that all of the past failures you had have been life trying to give you a lesson. The problem is so many of you don't learn the lesson. And if you don't learn the lesson, you're apt to repeat it. And so life gives you a lesson, you don't learn it, and you get the lesson again. And you don't learn it, and you get the lesson again, and you get the lesson again, and you get the lesson again, you get the lesson again, over and over and over again. And so the key is, how do we start to learn the lessons that are being presented to us? And when you label it as a failure, you've now basically covered it up, and you'll never learn the lesson. Which is why one of the things I like to teach my clients is how to debrief an experience, how to pull the lesson out of an experience so that we don't have to keep repeating it. I've had the conversation with a couple of you who are really nervous about joining, and which I totally understand. And I've made the point that the scariest decision that you'll need to make is whether to join or not for many of you. And once you make that decision, once you invest, it's my job to meet you there, to link arms with you, me and all the coaches link arms with you, and walk you step by step forward. That's my job. And I'm really good at it. I'm really good at it. I can't invest for you, right? You got to make that decision yourself. But as soon as you make that decision, girl, I'm going to be right there, and I'm going to walk you step by step. Trust in my ability to be able to coach you. Trust in my ability to be able to take you where you want to go. And all you have to do is just take that first step of coming and deciding to join us so that I can help you change your life. I'm very confident in my ability to be able to do that and to work with you to be able to make it happen. And a lot of you who are worried about things that have happened in the past, I liken that to trying to drive a car while looking in the rearview mirror. If you're trying to drive a car, you cannot drive forward with your eyes in the rearview mirror looking what's behind you. You'll crash. And that's what a lot of you are doing. You're predicting failure because it's what's happened in the past, and so you only end up repeating it. Deciding what's possible for you in the future based off of what has happened in the past makes you it's only going to have you repeating that same thing, right? It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And a lot of you have seen this. You start something predicting to fail, and so then guess what? You end up failing. And the fact that you're here now means that you want to create new results, right? It means you have to pull your eyes out of the mirror. Because if you join your Macros 101 with your eyes in the mirror, with this continued repetition of I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, I'm going to fail, you're going to fail. So we got to pull your eyes out of the mirror. We got to focus on where you want to go rather than where you've been. And look, I'm not gonna promise you the world. Like, I'm not gonna promise you that I have all of the answers. But what I will promise you is that you have all the answers. And I am really good at helping you to access those answers. You can have a different future than you had the past. And in order to have that different future, you gotta let go of the past. And that's my superpower, is helping you to do that. Helping you to let go of those things that maybe you're not very proud of, or those things that you've tried and failed in the past, and helping you to move past them. Some of you guys are telling yourself, along with this lie of I haven't succeeded in the past, I'm not gonna be able to succeed in the future, which is also a bold-faced lie, because if you really didn't think that you would succeed in the future, you wouldn't be here. Right? If I know I'm not gonna make it into the NBA, so I don't even try out. So if you really thought there's no way in all of God's green earth for me to be successful, you would not be here, which means there's at least a part of you that knows that that's bullcrap and that it is possible for you. Doesn't mean you don't have a lot of fear or baggage, yeah, but a part of you knows that there is a possibility. Right? So I've also heard this idea of I'm not dedicated enough, I'm too lazy, I'm not committed enough, right? All of these I am statements, which we talked about how powerful I am statements are when you're labeling your identity. But I want you to recognize that it's not that you're not dedicated enough. It is not that you're lazy. It is not that you're not committed. And how can I say that so assuredly, even though I don't know you? Because 99% of the women that I talk to who use this kind of language, who say things like, I'm not committed enough, I'm lazy, I'm not dedicated, when I ask them about other areas of their life, they're very dedicated. They're very committed. A lot of you are parents, and most of you are very committed to your children's health and well-being. And it's not hard to be committed to making sure they have a roof over their heads, right? Because you are committed, you show up. And many of you have other areas of that. Your job may be one where you're very dedicated, you're very committed. You are not lazy when it comes to that. So if that's true in other areas of your life, it can't be an identity. Because an identity shows up in every area of your life. If you're lazy, you're gonna be lazy in every single area of your life. So if that's not true, and there are areas of your life that you're committed and dedicated, it means that you are not someone who's not committed or dedicated. You just haven't figured out how to apply it to this arena. And that's what I'm good at. I'm good at helping you to apply it to this arena, right? At the end of the day, some of you feel like you can't trust yourself. And if that's the case, I want you to trust in my ability to be able to get you there, to be able to get you to a place where you're not only committed in your career, but you're also committed in this other sphere, because you know how to be committed. You just don't know how to do it yet in this area. All right, number 3, this is the third big one that I've heard from a bunch of people. I don't have the time, or said another way, the timing of the program doesn't work. And if this is you, I just want to lovingly call you out a little bit on your crap. Because this reeks of all or nothing thinking, of this idea that I have to do it all. And I don't have time to do it all, Amber. I don't have time to meal prep and track and log and go to the gym for an hour and watch all these modules, and I don't have time to do it all. And what I would say back to that is you're right, you don't have time to do it all. And that's part of your problem, is that you think that you have to do it all in order to be successful. And so we have a commitment that my clients make inside of MACROS 101. It's called our 20 minutes a day commitment. A lot of y'all are really bad at pacing yourself. Hard truth. And I know what that's like because I do CrossFit. And when I first started doing CrossFit, I was terrible at pacing myself. And I would always go out too hot. And I would be like, yes, I feel so good on these first couple of rounds. And I would go out super hot. And then, boy, did the back half of the workout kick my trash. And I finished very slowly because I couldn't maintain that pace. And a lot of you are doing the same thing. And so a lot of you need to learn to pace yourself. You need to learn the skill of pacing. And that is why our 20 minutes a day commitment is so important. Because a lot of women come in and they're like, okay, what do I need to do for 12 hours today? And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. If you do 12 hours today and 12 hours tomorrow, you're not gonna have any reserve after that. So instead we have our clients make a commitment, and our community together makes a commitment that they will dedicate 20 minutes a day to this process. But that means 20 minutes today and 20 minutes tomorrow and 20 minutes the next day, and every day after that. And when you start to learn that skill of pacing and you start to learn that skill of commitment of 20 minutes, imagine what is available for you to accomplish. If you can learn that skill of pacing, you can learn that skill of being able to go at a pace that you can maintain. So this idea that like you have to have a lot of time is, again, all or nothing thinking. This idea that like I'm going on a vacation and I'm not going to be able to be there for a week. Again, all or nothing thinking. This idea that if I'm going to miss a week of the program, then I might as well not gain access to the other 8 weeks. So I'm just inviting you as your coach to recognize that if you have all or nothing thinking in this area, it's likely showing up in other areas of your life. And it's likely holding you back from the results that you say that you want. And we have to address that and help you to move past that all or nothing thinking so that you can access the results that you want. And I'm reminded of Dana Welfare's story. Many of you heard her during the 5-day challenge. She shared a story about how she signed up for MACROS 101, so excited, and then like all hell broke loose in her life. Her mom got sick, she had a kid that went to the hospital, things at her job got super busy, like life hit the fan. And what she said about that time and that experience, this was the whole time she was in MACROS 101, and she was dealing with mom and kids and all of these things that wasn't on her plate when she joined. But what she said is that I don't know what I would have done without MACROS 101. Because that was an incredibly busy time for her, and she needed to be able to be at the top of her game mentally and emotionally. And what she learned in MACROS 101 allowed her to do that, allowed her to go through a very stressful period of her time and still be successful. It allowed her to go through a very stressful period of time and still take action in little bitty baby steps. Whereas in the past, when crap hit the fan, she would have just let everything go. And she didn't do that this time. And so this idea that there's a right time or that the timing has to be perfect, it's never going to happen. Ask yourself, if not when, if not now, when? Because many of you are saying, not now, not now, not now. When? When is it going to happen? And if not this, great. Make a decision. But if not this, what? Because not doing something is going to net you the same results that you've been seeing. The best time to invest in yourself was yesterday. And the next best time to invest in yourself is now. I still kick myself that I was on that sales call and that I said no. And that it took me another 6 months to get started on this process. Because imagine where I could have been had I said yes 6 months previously. And I can be compassionate for myself, but I do wonder, what if? What if I would have said yes 6 months earlier? How would that have changed things for me? And so, I can't regret, that can't change the past. That best time would have been to invest then, but the second best time was when I decided and I invested and I moved forward. Now, some of you guys have been asking about how to talk to your spouse about this. Because again, money, finances are often commingled. It's often not just a unilateral decision for many of you to make. And I want you to recognize that when you're speaking to your spouse or your partner, that they have fears as well. And so if you're getting pushback from your partner, oftentimes it's coming from a place of fear for them. They're afraid that you're gonna get excited about something and fail again, and they don't want to see you get hurt. They maybe have some fear that maybe they're gonna have to change behaviors. If you're changing behaviors, how's that gonna impact them? So just recognize that as you have this conversation with your partner, they likely have, if you're getting pushback, they likely have some fears as well. And starting to understand their fears can help you both work through that together. Also, it's really important to focus on the value, because a lot of times partners just see a price tag, right? It's just a price tag. What they don't understand is the value. And so sharing with them the value that you feel like that you can gain from this and the outcome that it's going to provide for you and how it's going to change your life or how you hope it's going to change your life can help put that price into context, into a value context. You can also think about the other areas that you've spent money on and prioritize spending money on. Again, I mentioned many of us will happily pay for our kids' sports teams, no big deal. We don't have a problem paying for that, but when it comes to paying for things for ourselves, it's a real challenge. So where else do you spend money for your kids, for your spouse, for your home, for your hobbies, that if you had made that same investment into yourself, how would things be different? And then the last thing I want you to remember when you're speaking to your partner about this is the money back guarantee. I've heard from a lot of people who said that that was the thing that helped their partner get on board, because their partner was afraid that they would try something and fail, that they would get scammed, that this wouldn't work, that this would it would be something that they would just, get started on and not be committed to again. And so that money back guarantee really can, again, put that risk back on me, and then you can show up and show them. Sometimes that's the best motivation that we can get, is when someone doesn't believe in us, it gives us motivation to prove them wrong. And so I want to make that opportunity available for you to be able to come into Macros 101, try it out, come to the coaching, let me do my job, let my coaches show up for you, come take go through the content, and be able to show yourself and your partner that this is going to be different, and that you're going to move forward and have that transformation that it is that you're desiring. Now, sometimes it helps to read answers to why other people decided to join Macros 101. So I've been asking people who joined, why is it? How did you make this decision? What are the reasons that you have joined, despite having some of the same fears that many of you guys have? One woman said, I'm stuck in a macro rut and I recognized I needed help from an objective, knowledgeable person so I can move the needle to a place of success and achieve my fat loss and strength toning goals. Swirling around the drain isn't effective, and that is what I am doing. I need someone to help me get out of the vortex and help me see clearly. Another woman said, I thought about joining last year and I didn't. I told myself I'd already spent enough on other programs that didn't help me see why I self-sabotage, etc., and with coaches that gave up on me when I gave up on me. I'm still at the same weight as last year. And as soon as I see the slightest bit of weight loss, I revert to my old ways. I'm here to get off the diet train and learn what my body needs to be the healthiest I can be for me, my kids, and my grandchildren. Trust in your process. This woman said, I trust in your process and I'm worth every cent and every minute of this investment. This woman said, I just joined today. The thing that pushed me over the edge was realizing that I've done everything right and it didn't work. I have mental blocks that I need help working with, and I'm looking forward to learning when to move into the different phases, and I can't wait to get started. This woman said, I joined Macros 101 the first day it opened. What tipped me over the edge to decide was that I had tried this macro counting and setting macros and heavy lifting on my own for 6 months, gleaning what I could here and there on the internet. I did not get the results that I wanted, even though I was consistent. To be honest, I was trying to decide between your program and another one, and what made me choose yours was the fact that I'm going to learn a lifelong skill, like you say, to become a macro scientist so I can figure out my body and have the tools I need for the rest of my life to stay healthy, have the body I know I can have, and figure out what my body needs in different seasons. This woman said, I've had numerous personal trainers join countless challenges within my journey. I've spent a lot of money, and none of them ever let me keep anything that I could refer back to. She's talking about the lifetime access to the content. Honestly, it's faith. I've spent $5,000 to $6,000 on trainers over the last 13 years just to gain back what I lost within a year. Needless to say, I was reluctant investing more money with fear of the same result. So today I have faith in what information was laid out to me during the 5-day free challenge that is really the key to the missing puzzle pieces I've needed all along to keep what I've lost off. The cost was a little steep, but I kept asking myself, is it worth it to be done with bouncing around from program to program and macro calculators to achieve goals that never happened? I believe this is the missing piece so I can take full control and fully understand what I need to achieve my fitness goals. I decided the money was worth that confidence. I was also convinced by the ladies' testimonies of their success, and Amber's information presented last week truly was mind-blowing. I'm so excited to start. So maybe some of those other women's experiences will help you to find the courage to move past that fear and say yes to what it is that you want and the goals and dreams that you have for yourself. So the last thing that I'm going to do as a coach is I'm going to give you some, if you're still on the fence, I'm going to give you some self-reflection questions that hopefully, again, will help you make a decision, either Macros 101 yes or Macros 101 no, but I don't want any of you to be getting squished like a grape by sitting on the fence and then letting the doors close and make that decision for you. That is not any way to live your life, to let outside factors make decisions for you. Make your own decision. Yes is an empowered decision. No is an empowered decision. Sitting in the middle is not an empowered decision. So some self-reflection questions that you can go over yourself. The first one is, what is my desired outcome? And then what is that outcome worth to me? Again, this is a unique question that only you're going to be able to answer. What do you want? And what is that outcome worth to you? What am I most afraid of? If you get really quiet and honest with yourself, like I did after I got off that sales call, and I said I couldn't afford it, but when I got really honest with myself, I was afraid that I wasn't going to show up and do it. So when you get really honest with yourself, what are you most afraid of? And are you making this decision of a yes or a no based off of fear or based off of possibility? I've found in my life over and over that when I make decisions based off of fear, I usually make a terrible decision. Fear doesn't make us act rationally. Fear makes us make really bad decisions. It's a very heightened emotion state. And so how can we make that decision from possibility instead of from fear? And then the last question is, what is the cost of inaction? A lot of times we're so focused on the cost of action, like what it's going to cost me to come join this program, and we don't sit and think about what is the cost of me not taking action. So many women I have talked to regret not joining previous years and then having that cost of inaction be a whole nother year where they sit feeling uncomfortable in their body, not confident when they get dressed in the morning, feeling like they don't have a good relationship with food. It's like a whole nother year. There's a cost to inaction. Sometimes we think that it's just like either there's a cost to action or I just stay put. But we start to realize that no, there's actually a cost to inaction. And you're either moving forward or backwards in your journey. And so what is the cost of inaction for you? Again, this is going to be unique to you. I don't have the answer for you. What I do is I ask you really good questions so that you can come up with the answers. So let me put those back on the screen so you can take a screenshot if you want. What is my desired outcome and what is it worth to me? What am I most afraid of? And am I making this decision from fear or possibility? And what is the cost of inaction for me? And then I want you to remember that we have a money back guarantee. I also haven't talked about the double your money back guarantee, so I'll mention that really briefly here. So not only do we have a 30-day money back guarantee, which means you can come in, experience everything for the first 30 days, and if it's not a right fit for you, I want you to ask for your money back, and we'll give it to you. We also have a 90-day double your money back guarantee, because I know what I've built works. I know it. I'm very confident in that. In fact, I'm so confident in that I'm willing to have you come into my program, do the work for 90 days. And we have a requirement, like you need to do the work. And if after 90 days you have not seen results, I will give you not only your money back that you invested, but I will double it. And if that doesn't tell you that I am confident that what I've built works for women, I don't know what will. Because I wouldn't be willing to give you extra money back if I wasn't very, very, very confident that you were going to get in and we were going to change your life together. That's how confident I am. If you're still on the fence, I get it. Reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's figure this out for you. Don't let the doors closing make your decision. Don't live your life that way. If you're in, welcome to MACROS 101. I'm so excited. I'm like literally so giddy about tomorrow that we get to kick off with this amazing group of women that I get to walk through their transformation. It's an honor for me as a coach. And if it's a no, thanks for being here. I'm super glad that you spent some time with me, and I hope that you're leaving a changed person. I really mean that. If you're still on the fence, let's get you off. Reach out to me. Let's have a conversation. Let's help you to make the best and most empowered decision in your life. Doors to MACROS 101 close at 9 p.m. Pacific tonight. bicepsafterbabies.com/join has all the information about the program. Feel free to email support@bicepsafterbabies.com. If you have any questions, we're happy to answer them for you. I hope that I get to see you in MACROS 101. I hope that I get to help you make your goals a reality. I hope that I get to coach you through that process, and I hope that we get to do it together. Thanks for being here. Take care, and hopefully I'll see you in MACROS 101.